Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to We Are Tottenham TV for another Good Morning Tottenham as we preview the big game this weekend at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against Wolves. Wolves, who obviously played Arsenal last night in another sending off for Arsenal, by the way. Martinelli getting sent off. But what did you make out of Wolves last night?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't that impressed with them. And I think they were probably... Considering the amount of saves Rams are to make, they might feel a bit unlucky they didn't get anything out of the game. But I think I think it was pretty much as expected from Wolves yesterday. I didn't expect anything other than what I saw, and that is a team who do struggle to score goals. They do lack a killer instinct, and they're very difficult to play against in terms of creating chances and creating opportunities. And I think Arsenal got a bit of a lucky goal from the corner, ricocheted a couple of times, and then Gabriel was there to tap it home. Without that goal, do they win that game? I don't know if they get a goal from somewhere else. It was very difficult for Arsenal as well, as much as it was difficult for Wolves. And Wolves are a team who've scored the third least amount of goals in the league, and that goes to show how much they struggle in front of goal. Only Norwich and Burnley have scored less goals than them this season. So as much as they're reliant on a very good defence, which has got them to where they are on the table at the moment, their forward line, especially now they don't have a Adama Traore as well to change a game. Yeah, that's like they don't have that substitution.
Yeah. Look, I think that in my personal opinion, I was flicking between the two games, so when I flicked over, I didn't see the goal. The Arsenal goal, and I didn't really want to go back and watch it, to be fair. So I didn't rate Wolves too highly yesterday, to be honest. I didn't really think they they could have got a point out of it when after the sending off, all the chances they had and stuff like that. But let's get into the match preview for the game this weekend. At the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, obviously. We've already played Wolves twice this season, beating them twice. We've scored 3 goals against them. 2 of those goal scorers already left the club. Dele Alli and Ndombele. Obviously, Harry Kane did score the other one. When you're looking, are you confident really coming into this game, seeing as what's happened last week against Southampton or this week?
Obviously, that puts a down on things. I am still confident because I do think that with the way we're attacking at the moment, we do look like we're going to score, which is very positive. I think Kane's still playing well. Son still looking dangerous. I think even against Southampton in a game which we didn't play very well and deservedly lost, we still created more than enough chances to win to score a lot more goals. We missed a lot of clear-cut chances in that game. So even against a Wolves side who are very good defensively, I back us to have a few moments at least where we create something and have a few chances from goal, and especially the form Kane is in, I especially back him to come up with something. Obviously defensively against Southampton, we're all over the place, but Wolves are going to not provide that. Are going to provide a different kind of threat. They have Jimenez, Trincao, Podence, who are a tricky front line, but they don't. They definitely recently been lacking that killer instinct in front of goal. And Trincao has to be one of the most frustrating players I've ever seen because he's so good at dribbling. Like yesterday, the amount of times he was able to get past an Arsenal defender at will, but then there's absolutely a serious lack of quality at the end of it. Must be absolutely frustrating.
Reminds me of another winger that they used to have.
Exactly, but even, obviously Adama was like that, but tenfold. But I don't think the Southampton game changes anything for me. I don't think that means that we're more likely to lose. Obviously, momentum is a bit against us now. We're 2 consecutive defeats, and it becomes very important we win the game. But I still think we definitely have the quality to win this game. Like I still put us as favourites. And although I do believe it's going to be a very difficult game because Wolves are very good at defending, so we have to make sure that we're creating those good quality chances, and we have to make sure our wing backs are providing an attacking threat and we need better quality from them if we're going to win. I think it's going to be very, very big on the wing backs for me.
Yeah, you're definitely right there. Wolves have started to kind of find their scoring boots a bit of late. I mean, they scored 2 against Brentford, 3 against Southampton, 3 against Sheffield United in the FA Cup the week before. But ever since then, they did draw a blank against Norwich in the FA Cup and obviously drew a blank last night against Arsenal. When you're looking at the last 5 games between Spurs and Wolves, they haven't scored against us in the last 2 meetings in the league. Obviously, we beat them 1-0 earlier on in the season, very early on, and we beat them 2-0. Was that at the tail end of last season when we beat them 2-0? So we've definitely got form against them. In the last 5 games, they've only beaten us once. We've only drawn once, and obviously we've won 3 of those games. But history does tell us whenever Wolves do come to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, since they've come into the Premier League, they always give us a good game, don't they? Always. It's usually it's a weird one because they've beaten us at the Tottenham Stadium and we've beaten them at Molineux. Kind of that's how it's gone pretty much since they've come into the Premier League, apart from last season, obviously, where we beat double over them. Yeah,
and it is going to be another difficult game. For sure, it's going to be a battle. It's not going to be an easy game. Just because they don't score goals doesn't mean it's going to be a simple affair.
I would say, though, Adama is the one that always gives us the major problems when we play them, and obviously he's not there now.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually going to be a major boost for us, Adama not being on the pitch for them.
I think, look, Adama provides a massive threat. We all know that. Even if he doesn't score or assist, him being on the pitch commands attention, and him not being there is definitely positive. But Wolves are one of the most solid defensive outfits in the league. That's reality. Despite the fact they don't score many goals,
they've only conceded 17.
Yeah. So that's why
second least in the league.
Yeah, that's why they're where they are, because of their supreme defence. They really give up very few chances. They concede very few goals. Jose Sarr in goal has been one of the signings of the season. He's been absolutely brilliant. The back three: Kilman, Cody, and Roman Saiss, with the wing backs of Semedo and either Aït-Nouri or Marçal on the wing backs. They're a very solid outfit, and they're very hard to break down. But the reason why they're also where they are is because they have a lack of scoring, and that's also been a massive problem for them. So if we do take the lead at any point, I'm confident we can hold on. I'm more confident we can hold on to it against a team like Wolves and a team like Southampton. But will we be able to break them down enough times? Will we be able to get that chance? I'm hoping it's just not one of those games where it drifts, and it goes like a 0-0 or something because we're not really using that killer instinct. We're too worried about conceding. Because Wolves, as good a team they are, they're quite an easy team to stop in terms of in front of goals. So we have to make sure we're trying our hardest to put them under as much pressure. And not just rely on counter-attacks.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about Wolves' lack of goals just a bit before. When you're looking at the form of the two sides, actually, we've scored the same amount of goals in the last 5 games, which is crazy when you think about it, when you're thinking about Spurs' attack with Kane, Son, Moura, and stuff like that. But the differences between the two sides is the defences, obviously. With our defence looking shocking last game, their defence second best in the league. Their away form is actually really good as well when you look at that. 3 wins out of their last 3 games, I think it is, with a draw and a loss in between there. But our home form is strong if you take away that Southampton game. But that's the sticking point. I mean, we need to galvanise ourselves after that Southampton game, because I reckon the team confidence would have taken a big knock after that game.
Yeah, and I'm hoping we get a reaction to that defeat, and I hope we don't be too emotional, as Conte would say. I think, look, as I said, Wolves are going to be an extremely tough test. Just because Arsenal beat them doesn't mean it's going to be any easier for us. I think Arsenal did win, but they got that goal from a scrappy corner, and then they went down to 10 men. They pretty much put the bus in front of the goal, and Wolves didn't have an answer. And that didn't surprise me. I remember I texted my friend as soon as Arsenal went down to 10 men that it's game over now. Arsenal were definitely winning, because I knew with Wolves' goal-scoring record, as soon as Arsenal goes super defensive, that was it. Arsenal aren't going to concede, and they didn't. And that's because Wolves struggle very badly in front of goal. And I think, but that doesn't change anything for us, because the game starts a 0-0. The game's still going to be even from the start, and the onus is on Tottenham it's, more pressure on Tottenham in this game because Wolves don't expect top four. They don't expect Europe. They can take a draw in this game. Tottenham can't. We need 3 points.
Yeah.
So the pressure is going to be on Tottenham to create something and come up with goal scoring opportunities. Wolves can leave with a 0-0, and that's a good result. That's the reality. So that it means it's going to be very, very difficult for us to break them down. It's going to be very, very difficult for us to win this game and get chances. I wouldn't even be surprised if we draw this game, to be honest, because I would be surprised if we lose, but I wouldn't be surprised if we draw because I really think Wolves are a very tough team to play against. And like Arsenal only won because they got a bit of luck with that goal. And hopefully we don't rely on something like that.
Yeah. When you're looking at
also Moutinho, he should be back. I think
Moutinho, I think he's gonna have a late fitness test, right?
Yeah, I'll have to wait and see what Lager says today. But he's also a big part of how they play.
But let's bring up the predicted lineup graphic for Wolves. I mean, the lineup we got here is the same lineup that they did play last night. As you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, Moutinho and Hwang both potentially could play, but both could miss out as well.
Well, Hwang was on the bench last game, so
right. So, I mean, when you're looking at that team, right? I mean, I've been impressed with quite a few players in this team. First of all, I'm going to talk about Jose Sa in the goal. I mean, I rate him very highly as a goalkeeper. I think he's been one of the best goalkeepers in the league this season. Mm-hmm. And I actually look at him as could be a potential Hugo Lloris successor.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is he's only been at Wolves 1 season, and because he's got such a big reputation, because he's had such a good season, he's going to cost a lot of money now, isn't he? I don't know how much they signed him for. I think he might be on loan. Is he on loan? Or was he they signed him? I can't even remember. I think it might be one of those loans with an obligation to buy kind of thing.
Well, let's have a look.
But yeah, I mean, he's been brilliant, I must say. Does he play? He's Portuguese, isn't he? Does he start for Portugal? Because I know Patricio, the former keeper, he's at Roma. I don't know how many caps he has for Portugal. But yeah, he's been fantastic, I have to say. He's big, he's commanding.
They signed him for 7 million.
7 million.
Olympiacos.
They
like shopping at Olympiacos, don't they? You got Podence from there as well.
Yeah. And I think Aït-Nouri as well from Olympiacos, potentially. But Jose Sa now, they bought him for 7 million. He's probably worth at least 40. That's the reality in Premier League football now.
I mean, they say his market value on here, which I don't believe at all, is still 7.2 million.
No, he's been one of the goalkeepers of the season. Yeah. That's the reality. Yeah. So maybe that's one Tottenham can look at in the future. Conor Coady's had another stellar season. He hasn't
had a cap for Portugal.
He hasn't had one. No. That will change soon. Conor Coady,
29 years old. I didn't realise that. I thought he was younger.
I thought he was like 26. He's 29. Yeah. Wow. One of those players who's taken a while to find himself, but he's clearly found a home at Wolves.
Yeah.
Their back line has been so solid. Kilman's really stepped up recently. I like Roman Saiz as well. Very physical device.
Quality player.
Very physical defender. Who has a decent left foot on him as well when he has time and space. He gets a few goals from set pieces. Obviously, Conor Coady's been great. The midfield too, Dendoncker, Neves, or whether it be Moutinho as well. We all know what Ruben Neves can bring with his passing ability and his ability to dictate the play. Semedo and Marçal aren't the best offensive wing backs, but they've got a lot of pace and they're very difficult to play against defensively. And they do get forward as much as they're not the best quality wise. They do get forward quite a lot. And then the front three, I mean, individually, Podence, Trincao, Jimenez are tricky players, especially Jimenez, very physical, good quality striker. But the supply to him this season has been the best, and Podence and Trincao can be very frustrating.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they've got all these players that are like good in their own right going forward, but they're all very frustrating players. And like,
Jimenez isn't frustrating, but
no, I'm talking about like the supply to him.
Yeah,
Trincao and Podence, and obviously they had Adama Traore as well. So they've got all these players that are very frustrating, and then the one that probably is the least frustrating is the one that's been injured all the time. That's Pedro Neto. I mean, he's a top quality player.
They've been very unlucky with him being out for so long.
So I think if Pedro Neto's in this team, I mean, their kind of probably productivity going forward goes up tenfold because he's such a good player and he has that end product to match, doesn't he?
Yeah, they'd have a lot more goals if he was in the team, that's for sure. And actually, it's funny, because Trincao
and Hwang.
Trincao, I believe, has the highest XG of any player without scoring. And that goes to show the kind of positions he gets into. He gets a lot of chances, and he gets into good positions. Basically, he's going to score his first goal of the season, against us. But they're a very solid team. It's really going to be a difficult game, and it's probably how things usually work with Wolves. It's won by the odd goal, and especially how we like to line up as well. I can definitely see that being the case. I'm just banking on with Son and Kane in the team, we're the ones to get that goal rather than Wolves. But we just got to make sure set pieces were on point. As long as we don't concede from set pieces, I think we're okay from a defensive point of view. I think Wolves are going to struggle to create the amount of chances Southampton did, definitely from open play. We just got to make sure set pieces were all right, and then open play, when we have opportunities to exploit them, we have to do it ruthlessly. Otherwise, it could easily be a 0-0 this game.
Yeah, I mean, Wolves are one of these weird teams that pick up more points away from home than they do at home, which is a weird one. I mean, they're the 6th best team in the league for their away form, and they're the 13th best team for their home form.
It's because of how defensive they are. I think
that is why it is. I mean,
because when you're at home, the onus is on you to attack more, isn't it? And that's where they struggle. So they open up a bit, and then teams can exploit that. Whereas away from home, they're always battening down the hatches every time, and they're always the ones defending, and that works a lot better away from home than it does at home.
They've picked up 20 points away from home this season out of 11 games, which is not a bad return.
Nearly
at all.
2 a game. It's pretty good.
Not a bad return at all. So look, we've got our work cut out for us this weekend, that's for sure. Where do you see their main frailties really being? Because their defence is very strong to get past, like we've been saying. But where really can we hurt them this weekend?
Yeah, I think the wing backs is where they're most at risk. I think Marçal and Semedo are fast wing backs, and they can be very difficult to play against. But the problem is they're probably, you could argue, that's where our weaknesses are. But I think that's where, especially maybe on Reguilon's side against Semedo, I think he can lose his concentration quite a lot, and he can be beaten if he's not concentrating. And I also think he gets forward quite a lot without much quality. So a lot of the times maybe you can even half cheat, Reguilon kind of half cheat, let him go with the hope of, if he lets him go and we win the ball, he can exploit that space on Wolves' left-hand side. Obviously, that's also the side Max Kilman likes to play, who's probably the weakest of the back three, despite him having a very good season. I'm not saying he's bad, but he's probably...
I impressed him last season as well. I think he's a good player, Kilman.
Yeah, but I would say Cody and Saiss are probably a bit stronger than him.
Yeah.
So that side, I would say, will probably be their biggest weakness. And obviously, as we say, their lack of clinical edge in front of goal, which means you can maybe, in this kind of game, maybe cede possession to Wolves. Maybe it's one of those games where you give them the ball, you kind of invite them onto you, and then once they come forward a bit, you spring on them and make sure you hit them in the transitions. And that's probably what I would do, I think, in this kind of game. Although, if you are running the risk of doing that and then Wolves just seeing out a 0-0, which could be a problem with that approach. But I do think Wolves probably want us to have the ball. They want us to attack them and get numbers forward so they can counter on us. And so I think if we were to give them control, then I would argue that if we exploit the spaces when we win the ball back, that could be the best option.
After the horror show against Southampton, especially from the midfield, you expecting Bentancur to come in this weekend?
Yeah, I am. I think he was that good when he came on, and our midfield was that weak that I think he has to start. Unfortunately for, I think, probably Winks missing out, even though Højbjerg went off early. I do think it'll be Winks going off. I think we need strength in that midfield. We need someone who's definitely... We need to make sure Neves isn't getting any joy in the centre of the park. Or if it is Moutinho as well, if it's definitely Neves and Moutinho, if it's both of them, we definitely need people making sure we're getting close to them and not letting them dictate the play. And if it's Dendoncker, we need that physicality. And Winks didn't have the best game against Southampton, and I think I mean, he could start, but I would rather have the strength of Bentancur than Winks, and he showed a touch of class on the ball as well. So that could be a very big part of how we play in the central midfield for sure.
Is Skip and Dyer definitely going to be out for this one? I think Skip definitely, yes.
Skip definitely, but Dyer, he said 5 days. So
Dyer's been out. I mean, he was out 2 games ago, and they said it was only a precaution then. So frustrating, man. We need Eric Dyer back desperately.
definitely need him. So I hope he's back, but if he does, he'll have to do the same back three, which were all over the place. But hopefully they would have learned some lessons. And it'll be interesting to see, maybe he goes with Doherty on the right. It'll be interesting to see if he does that, because against his former club. I would still pick Emerson, to be honest, because with the pace of Marcel or Aït-Nouri, I can see someone like Doherty really struggling, whereas at least Emerson, although he will probably struggle, at least he can keep pace with them, which is more to say with Doherty. But it'll be interesting to see what he does, because maybe he will give maybe Emerson was that bad, he will give Doherty a run out.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But if it was up to me, I think I would stick with Emerson, to be honest. I think just for that physicality that he does have, that he's able to get up and down the pitch consistently throughout the game. But it's going to be... Would you even potentially think about Kulusevski at right wing back or Sessegnon at right wing back?
I would potentially think of Sessegnon. I would, because I think I would, but I don't think it's right for this game. I would potentially do it in the future, but I think in this game, Wolves are too clever tactically to play that kind of role. I think he would get exploited if we go too offensive. I think if we played in a game where we're going to have most possession and we're going to control things, then I would consider doing that. If we're against a lesser team, I would consider doing that from the start. But in this kind of game, if you underestimate Wolves, they can exploit you for sure. So I don't think I would do it in this game.
All right, and what are we going for score prediction? I think I know what you're going to go for.
1-0 Spurs.
That's exactly what I thought you were going to go for, and I'm going for the exact same thing with Harry Kane to get on the score sheet this weekend. But you guys, let us know what you think the score is going to be this weekend, and who do you think is going to score the goal. That is our match preview. Now it's time to let you guys have your say. The link is in the community section right now if you want to come and join us. Is there anyone waiting at the moment? There is no one waiting at the moment. So if you want to come on and join us and have your say, please go to the community section and hit that link. Suan thinks it's going to be 0-0. Robert Davis is going for 1-0 to Wolves. But look, I mean, those three scorelines, 1-0 Spurs, 0-0 and 1-0 to Wolves.
Yeah, it's like
it could be either of them very easily, couldn't it?
It all depends who gets the first goal. And I think yesterday proved that when they played Arsenal. Arsenal got the first goal and they end up winning 1-0. And a lot of the times with Wolves, that's how it pans out.
Have Wolves even ever come back from behind to win this season? I don't think they have. I can't remember one time anyway.
Yeah, I don't think they have. I can't remember any off the top of my head. Maybe when they I remember they played Villa. That's right. They scored 3 goals in the last 10 minutes. They were 2-0 down.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That was probably the only time they did it.
Daniel Harris going 1-1. Oscar the wise man. I hope he's not too wise because he's going 2-1 to Wolves. Who we got? Yeah. This guy is going 2-0 Spurs. Eden Cooper, big up. He says, morning, lads. Catman Jess is going 3-0 to Spurs. I mean, if it's 3-0 to Spurs, then the march is on. Stuart Boy is going 2-1 Spurs. And there's another one here for 2-1 to Wolves. So there's a lot of contrasting predictions today in terms of the game this weekend. But, it's going to be a very, very difficult game. And everyone was so confident going into this Southampton game. And we got it thrown back in our faces. And now I think everyone's going to be a bit more cautious going into this one. And when the Spurs fans are a bit cautious, that's when we somehow pull one out the bag sometimes. But Plucky Chicken is going 4-2 Spurs. Daniel Harris has changed his prediction from 1-0 Spurs. He's going 1-1 now. Tom Hillier is saying 420 people here and only 42 likes. So smash the like button, guys. Listen to him. That's Spurs for Life's going 7-0 Spurs. Michael Battle going 2-0 Spurs. But we've got a guest who's ready to come on and speak to us, and that is George. George, how are we doing today, mate?
Hi, guys. I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear you.
Oh, we can hear you. We can hear you. You can hear us, yeah?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, wicked. Big game this weekend on the back of that Southampton game and on the back of... Did you watch the Wolves game last night?
No, I saw a few bits and pieces here and there. I was working till a bit late, so I didn't see much of it. I saw the goal, and I saw the sending off as well. Martinelli sending off, which was just really bizarre, but it was.
Do you think it was a warranted sending off? Because there's been a lot of kind of debate about that.
From a Spurs point of view, yeah, absolutely.
For a footballing point of view, Spurs hat aside.
From a footballing point of view, I thought it was ridiculous, honestly.
Why?
I just don't think the second. I mean, you know that the foul has already taken place. You know, you can pull you're going to pull the game. You can pull the game back. You know, to where. Why bother at that point sending a player off? You know, it's a spectators-driven game. The transgressions weren't that bad to warrant. You know,
but it was two yellow card offences, was it not?
Yeah, you can look at it that way, but then you unbalance the game. Listen, if it was Tottenham, we wouldn't like it happen to us in that manner. That's the way I look at it. So if it was from my point of view, I wouldn't have agreed with it. So I did think that it was harsh.
Yeah, we might not have liked it, but the question is, did the referee get it right? Is it the right decision by the laws of the game?
Probably following the letter of the law, it probably was, but that doesn't make it, you know, at the end of the day, referees do tend to look at these things in the cold light of that, or they should do. The letter of the law, he probably was absolutely right, but I just think that it's harsh, and from a spectator-driven sport, if you're looking at it from that point of view, I thought it was harsh. But you know, it's what makes things interesting, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Fair enough. I mean, looking at the game this weekend, obviously Wolves, bad result last night, losing to Arsenal. We was completely terrible against Southampton on Wednesday night. Have you got any confidence about you going into this one?
I'm struck. I think what's going to make the difference is whether our new signings have settled down enough to slot in there. If it's the team that started, I just don't feel confident with any game. I don't think that we've got enough push in that midfield to frighten the opposition into sort of trying to second guess what we're going to do. So we may beat them on the basis of quality, because I think we would shape the game on quality. But I think that we need something more in that midfield for a bit of inspiration. At the moment,
what changes would you make, George?
I would definitely start Bentancur in this one, 100%. And I would probably do it. I hate to say it, but I would probably do it in place of Højbjerg. I just don't think. Yeah, I think he's struggled this season, and particularly since Conte's taken over. I don't know what it is. He just seems to be. His passing is very wayward. He doesn't seem as assured of his own presence in that midfield. I'm not sure what he seems to be a shadow of the player that he was last season. And I think that performance on Wednesday just didn't. I mean, it was. I think in my opinion, it was a toss up as to who was worse, him or Emerson. It was. I really do like him as a player and as a person. So I find it difficult, but I would probably I would probably swap him for Bentancur.
Watching the Wolves game last night, was that when you're watching them play, was it a team that you think we're going to struggle against, or do you think that's a team where we shouldn't really fear getting points against?
I think I wouldn't fear trying to get points against any team. I really do think that it's the occasional loss of focus in the side and the lack of creativity that lets us down. Winks on his day has the ability to be creative and to ping those balls on the transition. on Wednesday, I just think we just lost the total focus and capitulated at key moments when we should have been pushing on. We just let it slide. So we definitely got the ability and the capability to win the game and get the full 3 points. It's just that those momentary lapses of focus which allows the opposition to gain momentum. And when you do that with a team like Southampton, they're practically a steamroller you. I don't think that Wolves have that ability. But again, if they decide to park the bus, the lack of creativity from that squad on the starting squad on Wednesday will struggle to pick the lock. So that's why I think Bentancur does need to start, and we need an early goal. If we get an early goal, I'll be happy that we'll confident that we'll win it sort of 2-3-0. But let's wait and see. I just hope that Conte manages to drill it home now that they can't afford to switch off and think that they've won the game, at 2-1 or 1-0 or even 2-0.
The wing-back situation's a tricky one because Reguilon came under a bit of criticism against Southampton. Emerson came under a lot of criticism all season, really. What do you do with the fullbacks? I mean, do you keep Reguilon in the side and potentially what would you do with the right-hand side?
Right-hand side's a struggle. I would really be starting to think of starting Cess in some of these games. I think that he's ready now. And he's on that bench, and we need him to start pushing both of them. So whether you do decide to put him on the right hand side instead of Emerson, I'm not entirely sure that this is the best time to do it, considering how bad that performance was on Wednesday. It may blow his confidence completely, being so slightly inexperienced in this league. I'm sure that it's something that Conte's thinking. Reggie, again, he's another one. This season, he's just been so erratic in what he's bringing to the table. It's a case of I'm sure Cess is thinking to himself, what have I got to do to slot in? Because again, those on Wednesday, I don't think he covered himself with glory either, really. I would probably start with both of them. Honestly saying, I mean, I would probably give them both another chance, but I would have my finger on the trigger to make that substitution potentially. If things aren't working out, I would try and bring Cess on. I think his contribution against Liverpool was excellent, sensational. I think it warrants him coming on and giving it a good go.
You wouldn't consider Doherty then against his former club?
Honestly, no, not at this. I don't think that he would bring enough for me. The only reason that you would be doing that swap was because Emerson was so poor on Wednesday. I just don't think that starting Doherty is going to do Emerson any good if he's a work in progress at this stage. It is a very tricky one, and I wouldn't like to be holding that hot potato. I think it's Conte's main problem and main issue, considering the way that he wants to play, which is with the wing backs. I don't think any of them are particularly playing well, but I also think that he doesn't think that he can particularly trust any of them either at the moment.
All right, what is your score prediction, and who's going to score the goals or goal, whichever score prediction you go for?
I'm gonna actually stick my neck out on this one. I'm going to call it as a 3-0.
Wow,
3-0.
You're backing us to get the early goal.
Yeah, we'd have to get the early goal, and I think that we can push on. I think a lot of those players have something to prove now for Conte, and I would hope that Conte is giving them some hefty sessions now, and giving them what for, because that just was not acceptable on Wednesday. As I said, it didn't surprise me, but they need to get their finger out. They can't afford to capitulate. and they can't afford to think that this game is won prior to stepping out on that field. And that's the impression I got against Southampton. So I'll say 3-0 goal scorers. I'm going to say Harry for a brace and Sonny for the other one.
All right. Who else, eh? Who else? George, thanks for coming on today, mate, and have a good weekend.
By the way, guys, excellent program yesterday, especially the stuff on the Y word. It was, it was great, listening to it from your perspective as well. So that was fantastic content, and well done, both of you.
Thanks a lot, George.
Thanks a lot, man.
We'll speak to you.
Appreciate that.
Come on, you.
Come on, you Spurs. So that was George. We've actually had a comment here from a Wolves fan, which was quite interesting, from LH, who's a Wolves fan. And he says, as a Wolves fan, I can't see anything other than a Spurs win. We are playing absolutely gash at the moment. And then he follows that and goes, I'm going 3-1 to Spurs.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Well, it's interesting to see he says that they're playing gash at the moment because before Arsenal, they beat Brentford 2-1, they beat Southampton 3-1.
Well, they did lose to Norwich in the Cup.
And they beat Wolves, they beat United 1-0. So in the league, they were playing not bad. They did lose to Norwich in the Cup, yeah. I remember Wolves at the beginning of December, they drew 0-0 Norwich away and drew 0-0 Burnley at home. Yeah. So that shows their struggles they've had this season with scoring goals.
Yeah, definitely. But, the form that they're kind of on is kind of not really in the characteristics of what Wolves have been doing this season, because it's been like Wolves and both teams to score against Brentford and against Southampton, which has been an interesting one. But let's go to our next guest, Michael. Hi, Michael.
Yes, hello guys. Can you hear me well?
Yes, very well. How are you?
Okay, so you may remember last time I was here, I said that I'm not confident about the game against Wolves, and certainly I'm not more confident now. But I'm not panicking. I'm not panicking. As I said, I'm not the person to be swayed both ways easily. And I just feel like everything I said last time was basically a jinx, because I said that Royal had a good game against Brighton, and I'm not going to throw him under the bus, but yeah, that was not a great performance from him. Well, not only from him. The way I look at the Southampton game was that, for example, when there are 11 players on the pitch and one of them has a bad game, the rest of them can cover up for his mistakes. But during the Southampton game, like 4 players had a bad game, and all of them were in one part of the pitch, because it was our 2 CDMs and the right side of our defense. Because I don't think that Davies and Romero had bad games. Well, of course, they are partially responsible for the 2 goals that we lost, but it wasn't a fuck up. Sorry for the bad language.
It's all good. It's all good, Michael.
Yeah, and all of them were in the one part of the pitch, and that's why I think we collapsed. And in terms of the Wolves game, I watched their game yesterday against ours, and the way I look at it is that they are, I don't want to say shockingly bad in the final third, but seriously, like, they had 20 minutes to score the goal against ours, and they just bust up the goalie, and they couldn't do anything. And they are good defensively, but I think we have enough quality in the attacking third that we can score 1, maybe 2 goals, but I will say 1. And I hope that we can be solid defensively, solid enough to prevent them from scoring 1 goal. And well, I know you are going to ask me for a prediction on the score. I'm going to say 1-0 for us.
1-0, same as us.
Yeah, 1-0. I don't think that there will be more goals this game.
Yeah, I think Wolves are just very solid defensively. Did you watch the game against Arsenal last night? Against Wolves versus Arsenal?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so when you were watching the game, were you thinking about how Tottenham can play against this team?
Well, so basically, I'm not really good at reading games yet. So forgive me if I don't give you a tactical analysis now. But I think that
we want a tactical breakdown, Michael. That's what we want. Play by play. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, play by play. Okay, so basically, I think that their midfield is really strong. I think one guy is named Neves, and the other one is
It
who
was
played?
Dendonka yesterday, I
Yeah,
believe.
Dan
Yeah.
Donker played yesterday, and of course, last performance of our midfield wasn't good, so I'm not confident there. But I think that if Bentancur starts finally, I think that it is time for him to start. Uh, and if he has a Højbjerg near him, because I think that Højbjerg should start over wings on the weekend. I think that they are solid enough to hold them at bay, to hold their midfield at bay. And as I said, their attacking players, they are really good in terms of dribbling and getting into good positions, but their finishing is lackluster at best, I would say. And I think that our defense, if they have their mindset in the right place, I think they can. Sorry, guys, for a moment.
It's okay.
Sorry, my mom just passed.
That's
Don't
all
worry.
right.
Don't worry. It's all good.
Does you want to give her a prediction?
Give her she isn't really interested in football, so of course she listens to me and my brother when we talk about football, but just motherly love, right? And yeah, going back to the game, what was I saying? Oh, that their attacking players don't have that much quality in terms of finishing, and I think that if our defense has their mindset well, I think they can hold them at bay too. So that's why I predict a clean sheet and just one goal, because of course, as we all know, Wolves defensively are really good, but I think we have enough quality.
Do you think there's a chance for me, or maybe not a chance, but do you want to see Kulusevski start tomorrow on Sunday?
Oh, that's a hard one, I know that a lot of people are saying that, well, he only had 2 cameos and he has time to improve. But someone in the comments said that too, that he kind of left Emerson with 2 players to mark during the game against Southampton on both occasions, in both goals. And I think that, well, at least for me, he clearly lacks a bit of confidence right now. Of course, he can build on it. I still believe that he is a supreme talent and he will be a really good player for us, and we'll be happy that we signed him. Well, of course, if we sign him, because it's loan for now. But should he start? I'm not sure really, because as you guys said in the post-match program after the match against Southampton, Lucas Moura wasn't really that good during that game, but he contributed to both goals. And do we really want to risk taking Lucas off, because he might not have good game, but he will still provide an assist for Sonny, and that's really a difficult decision to make for Antonio. And I'm not really sure that it's time for Kulu to start, but I definitely think that Bentancur should start. I'm confident now that he has the quality, and seriously, the way that he changed the game when he came on Wednesday was unbelievable.
And then if it's going to be a very tough game, and if we don't get all the 3 points, if we do say get a draw in this game, how much of a blow is that in terms of our aspirations this season?
Okay, so a lot of people, at least from what I'm hearing, are panicking about top 4 and saying that it's already gone. It's not already gone. United are shocking. Their form is up and down, and I don't think that they will stabilize soon enough to make a push for top. Well, not push, to guarantee top 4 for them. I think the same way about Arsenal, and one thing that worries me is that our goal difference isn't good right now, and I have a bad feeling that top 4 might be decided on goal difference. I don't know why, but I have this feeling deep inside me that it will be decided by goal difference, and we are in the worst position out of those three teams in that terms. But if we get a draw, one positive thing is that we still have to play West Ham and Arsenal at our ground. during this part of the season, and I really believe that Spurs will win both those games. And one thing that worries me really is that we have to play United at Old Trafford, and I'm not confident about that game, even though I just said that United has a shocking form. So if we get a draw, I still think that we are in the mix for top four, but each dropped points makes it harder to achieve top four, and we are banking everything on top four right now. I was talking to my brother yesterday that it's that weird domino effect, and one of your guests said that too. That if we don't get top four, Kane will probably push for a move. Probably, of course, we can
Yeah.
only guess. And if Kane gets his move, then I just have a bad feeling that Antonio Conte will move. Then again, if we don't get top four and Kane doesn't push for a move, but we don't get money for transfers, then maybe Conte will push for a move. And if Conte leaves, then Kane will leave. And that's this really strange situation that we pretty much have to get top four to stabilize, to to grow, and to have money for the project.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, to be honest. I do think that if we don't get top four this season, Kane could potentially push for a move. And if Kane does get his move, I do fear for Antonio Conte as well. I do kind of agree with you there.
Yeah.
But Michael, thanks for coming on today. Let's hope for a big performance, a big result this weekend, and we'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, just one thing, guys, because I always forget to say that I really appreciate your content. I really appreciate what you do. I've been watching yours guys content for like 4 or 5 months now, and I pretty much became addicted to it. My girlfriend is laughing at me every time I watch you guys because she recognizes your voices now, and she's like, oh, he's listening to We Are Tottenham TV again. And also one thing about yesterday's stream and the use of the Y word. I really support what you guys said and what your callers said, and I think it's ridiculous that the board released such a statement. I'm not even saying about the timing of it after the game that we lost, but still, I think it's ridiculous that they try to force our fan base to drop their identity. Because, as Jory said, for example, I don't have a drop of Jewish blood in my blood. A drop of Jewish blood in me, I wanted to say.
Yeah.
But I still call myself a Yido, and I'm really proud of it. And as you know, I'm from Poland, so the history of Jewish people and Poland is tough.
Yeah.
Let's say we have had our quarrels, but back in the day, Poland was one of the first countries to allow Jewish communities to prosper in Poland back in 18th century, 18th, I think it was 18th or 17th. I'm not sure. Doesn't matter, and doesn't matter really. I really support that what you said, guys, and I think it's ridiculous that the board released that statement, and I hope that anything bad won't happen from it, and that we will be able to call ourselves leaders.
We will always call ourselves the Yidos. Thank you very much, Michael, for your kind words. It means a lot to us, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon, guys. Have fun.
Cheers. Bye. All right, let's keep going. We've got Rishab coming on next. Rishab, how are we doing today, mate?
I'm good, and yourself?
Yeah, very good. Can't complain. Still hurting a lot from the Southampton game, but we've got another game this weekend to take our minds off of it. Are you confident?
Yeah, I'm confident this time. I think we are going to learn from our mistakes, and we'll do better this time.
Interesting. Did you see any of the game last night against Arsenal?
I did watch the highlights of the Arsenal game.
And when you saw them, did you look at a team that, thinking we can really go out there and beat them this weekend?
Oh, yeah, we can. I guess it's difficult for all of our players to, adjust to what Conte is asking them to do. Because, but I guess they'll learn from, they'll gain experience with every match that they play, and then they'll learn from the mistakes that they make. So the problems that we have at the moment are really clear. It's in the midfield, and the other problem is on the flanks. The amount of running Conte is asking for Regulon and Emerson to put in it makes it difficult for them to even cross the ball when they get into the attacking positions, and then also to defend. And for teams like Southampton, right, which had most of the possession last time, and then the amount of crossings that they were putting in, so when then they were putting crossings towards the flanks, Emerson was hardly tracking. He was getting back. It was harder for him to get back into the defense, and you know, he did not look good as well. And then the same thing for the Regulon. So I guess they are both getting used to Conte systems, and I guess we just have to be patient with them because their fitness will improve with time, and also their mindset. I guess so this time I guess we'll make our midfield stronger, and I hope they improve Emerson and Regulon. And I guess just for a change, I'll just have I would prefer Doherty playing over Emerson.
Why is that?
And yeah,
Why would you
why
prefer
is that? I
Doherty?
think he gets into, although he might. It's just that I'm still not happy with the way Emerson crosses the ball. I guess Doherty, even he doesn't do aerial crosses properly, but his grounded passes are far better than Emerson. And he also gets into the attacking positions. So in some of the matches which he played well and he got into the attacking positions, maybe he can give the Wolf defense something to think about. Uh, that's the only
Yeah.
reason.
And also midfield, Bentancur came on with from as a substitute in the last game, played very well. Are you thinking he should start on Sunday?
Yeah, definitely. We need, it's one of those feelings whenever a new signing comes in, and you feel like this is going to be my new favorite. I had a same feeling with Dembele when he initially joined the club, and he instantly became one of my favorite players. It's fascinating, how two players from the same league can play so differently. Kulusevski, on the one hand, he looks like as if he needs a lot of Premier League matches to get some experience. Whereas Bentancur, he looks like as if he has been playing Premier League for years, right? So fit, and yeah. So I would like him to start, and I hope he makes a good impact.
All right,
Well,
and
in the forward line, we played obviously 2 games in a row. Lucas, Son, Kane. Would you make that unchanged for a 3rd game in a row, or is Kulu or Bergwijn in your thoughts?
In the front, for the front two.
Front 3, yeah.
Oh yeah, maybe yeah. Instead of Lucas, we can have Bergwijn playing, because I think we need to give Bergwijn the chance to play all the 90 minutes and see what he can bring, because he must be having that boost of confidence from the last goal that he almost scored, which was an offside. So I'm sure that he must be having something under his uh, that burning sensation in his stomach, that he needs to score a goal because he can't do it in the last match. So just and yeah, we need to give Lucas some rest too, because Lucas and Højbjerg, they both deserve rest. They have been playing a lot of matches, especially Højbjerg. So yeah, I would prefer Bergwijn, Kane, and Son in the front.
All right.
what's your score prediction?
Spurs winning 2-0.
2-0. Who's going to score?
Uh, Kane and Son.
Kane and Son. All right.
Yeah.
Big up, Rishab. Thanks for coming on today, mate, and we shall speak to you soon.
Thank you, guys. Come on, you
No
Spurs.
problem. Come on.
That's on Rishab.
All right, let's keep going. And we got Coach Stell in the background. Coach, how are we doing today?
Yeah, not bad, guys. How you two doing?
Yeah, not bad as well. You looking forward to the game this weekend?
If I'm honest, no, because I've lost that belief in us getting top 4. But I'm looking forward to it in the sense of I still enjoy going to the stadium, seeing Spurs fans, catching up with people, and it's not just football; it's the social as well for me, Tottenham. So on that side of things, I'm looking forward to it. But in terms of the game, you don't know what to expect. If you predict we're going to win, you're crazy. If you predict we're going to lose, you're crazy. If you predict we're going to draw, you're crazy. You just don't know we're going to do because we're not consistent. So, personally, I think we will win it. But if we lost or drew, I wouldn't be surprised.
Do you think playing against a team like Wolves might suit us a bit more than Southampton?
Well, I watched the game yesterday, and the one failure Wolves made was they kept crossing the ball into the box when they had possession, and they really rallied. Wolves rallied. And Arsenal, they dealt with it easily. And they've got a very good goalkeeper as well who made some good saves, Arsenal. And they held on to it. Also, Arsenal up front, I mean, Lacazette missed 3 chances. It's clear them not buying a striker will hurt them eventually. But Wolves, they for me, once they got going, they were in command of the game. So do I think that will suit Spurs? Probably not. But the good thing is Wolves struggle to score goals as well, which hopefully works to our favour.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at the team that played against Southampton, in terms of formation and personnel, what changes would you make for this weekend?
Emerson needs to be dropped. Højbjerg needs to be taken out of the squad. We can't start with the front 3. It doesn't work. We simply can't get the ball to the front 3 unless Harry Kane drops deep and plays like a midfielder. So that needs to change. I would seriously consider bringing Rodon. I don't understand why the guy doesn't get a proper chance when we've got defenders at the back that are making mistakes and costing us games. You know, you look at the Chelsea games. We played 3 games. We lost all 3. We played Southampton. We lost. And Sanchez, Davies, Tanganga all struggled. So why doesn't Rodon get a chance? You know, I would definitely look to make that change as well. I don't know about playing Doherty instead of Emerson because I think Doherty is just as bad as Emerson, if I'm going to be honest. I think they're both terrible players that should never have been signed for Spurs and have got no right wearing a Spurs shirt. But then who do you play at right back? Do you bring back Tanganga? Well, he struggled when he's played there. So we've got a problem. We've got a big problem with right back, and I don't know what the solution is because I don't think we've got the players.
Potentially look at Sessegnon there.
He's left-sided though, isn't he, Ben?
Yeah, he is. But we're saying that you don't want to play Emerson, you don't want to play Doherty, you don't want to play Tanganga.
What do we do?
No, we got to put someone there.
I hear you. Well,
should we play with 10 men? He's considering it.
I was about to say it feels like we're playing with 10 men anyway, so why not? But I mean, look, we played Doherty at right back in the left back role. It was a disaster. So do we want to risk playing a left-sided player on the right? I don't know. Do you know what? Maybe try Bergwijn. Maybe just try Bergwijn there as a right wing back. Maybe he could possibly do that role until we figure out what the long-term solution is. But that is a big problem for us because teams now are targeting that side of the pitch. They look at the right side and they see, Emerson, Sanchez, that's the vulnerability. Brighton were attacking us down that side. Southampton were doing it. It needs to be sorted out. Otherwise, you know, we're just prone to a mistake that leads to a goal. And it's a difficult one, guys, because we didn't bring in the right players in the January transfer window. So Bentancur definitely has to start, by the way. Yeah, Bentancur has to start. I mean, every Spurs fan can see that. That's an obvious one. Otherwise,
you know, Stel, Antonio Conte said when we signed Kulusevski that he can play right wing back. I mean, would you try him out there?
Yeah, he also said that Adama Traore could play right wing back, and Adama didn't come because he didn't want to play in that position. I mean, I'm always.
That's just press talk. We don't know how true that was.
Kulusevski right wing back. From what I've seen, I can't see him as a right wing back. He hasn't got the pace to get up that wing. So, no, I wouldn't do it. But if that's what Antonio Conte sees, then he should give it a go then. If that's, you know, he's the manager. He obviously must see that there's a problem at right wing back. So if he thinks Kulusevski can do the role, then put him in there. Why not? But I don't see that. I mean, what do you think? Do you see him as a right wing back?
I don't think we've seen enough of him, to be fair, to know what he's really about.
I think in some games maybe it could happen, like if we're going like really attacking, but I don't know if in this game it's smart to do that. Like in a team like against Wolfsdale, they're much better like counter-attacking away from home than they have been when the onus is on them to attack when they're playing at home like yesterday. So how do you approach a game like tomorrow? Do you say, okay, we got to take control of the game, we got to take it to them and risk being countered on, or do you say, look, Wolves are not very good at attacking, let's just let them have the ball, control it, and when we get the ball, we're going to spring on them?
Well, one thing to remember is Moutinho is back, and Moutinho is a big player for them in the middle of the park, so he'll be pulling the strings alongside Neves. What we need to do is nullify that midfield. The best tool that Wolves has got are Neves, Moutinho in the middle, and Pedence out wide. He's a very good winger. And I don't know if you remember when we played PSV a couple of years ago and we drew 2-2 in the Champions League. It was Pedence on the wing.
It was against Olympiacos.
No, he played it for
Sorry,
Olympiacos.
beg your pardon. I was thinking red and white.
Yeah, fair enough. It was actually Bergwijn who tore us a new one that time.
Yeah, it was Bergwijn that day.
Anyway.
There you go. Bergwijn for PSV, Pedence for them. But Pedence is a good player. So
yeah, he was great that game, I remember, yeah.
now you know Pedence is going to play down the left, and he's up against Emerson and Sanchez. So already we have an issue. So whoever plays in the holding mid role are going to have to be instructed. You've got to shift out wide a lot and protect that side of the pitch, because if you don't get out wide and protect that side of the pitch, they're gonna create chances. So that's the first thing we've got to do tactically. The other thing we've got to do is put 3 in the middle and try and nullify Moutinho and Neves. If we go with 3 up top, guys, I fear it. I absolutely fear it, because if you think Winks and Bentancur, or Bentancur and Højbjerg, assuming Skip's injured, are going to stop Moutinho and Neves, I don't see it. I don't see that happening. We need 3 in the middle.
Well, Stel, you say that Højbjerg needs to be out the squad completely. So
Just a break.
Who are those 3 in the middle?
Well, Skip's out at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I would do is I'd play Bentancur, Winks, and I'd play Moura in the middle, but as the attacking mid. So when we're out of possession, he drops, but when we're in possession, play him as the attacking mid. Because I always believe that Moura is a much better player down the middle. I think he's far more effective for Tottenham down the middle. So I'd put him in the attacking mid role.
Interesting. All right, how do you see the game panning out? What's the score prediction?
I'm going to go 2-1 because everyone was predicting Southampton, we're going to win 4-0, 3-0, 3-1. I even predicted 3-1.
Yeah.
And whenever we all get confident, the opposite always happens.
They throw it in our faces every time, don't they?
It's Dr. Tottenham, isn't it? So
yeah.
I'm not going to be confident. I'm not going to go in there and say, yeah, we're going to... No, I'm going to say a very, very, very difficult 2-1 win to Spurs. But if it's not a win for Spurs, I wouldn't be surprised, because we're just lacking consistency. And actually, to add to that, guys, I think part of the issue of our inconsistency is there's still too much chopping and changing. There's we need to have a settled back line. We need the back 3, 5, 4, whatever he wants to do, week in, week out, just let them settle. There's too much chopping and changing. I get that he chopped and changed it during those Chelsea matches because it wasn't working. He wanted to try something different, but we need to now stick to one plan and go with it. So stop changing the back line and stop changing the midfield. Just have a settled 11 that are going to play week in, week out, so that they can learn to play with each other and play this tactic that Conte wants to play that we struggle with because we haven't got the players to play it. So we need a bit of stability in terms of team selection. I don't know.
We did, though. We were unchanged last 2 games.
Yeah, we were unchanged in the last game, but there were 2 polar opposite performances. One really good performance against Brighton, and one terrible performance against Southampton with the identical team on the pitch.
I agree, but if we go and change it all again, it's like, okay, now they've got to learn to play with each other. Now they've got to understand each other on the pitch. So if he does change it, which I haven't got an issue with him changing it, stick with it going forward. Let's say we lose to Wolves, for example, or we draw. Don't then go back to what we were doing in terms of team selection against Southampton because it didn't work against Wolves. Do you two feel that maybe we just chop and change a bit too much? Or do you think?
I think we've been forced into it a lot of the time with injuries, especially over that period of time when we played Chelsea and that kind of period. I think we have been forced into a lot of the changes through injuries.
Yeah, you do make a good point, Ben. We were forced into it. I think losing Skip is a massive blow. It's unbelievable, isn't it? What we lost
Yeah,
in the
it's
midfield.
massive.
And it's typical, isn't it? Romero comes back. He's looking really good. But then we lose our best defender of the season so far, Dyer.
Yeah,
You
I
can't
know.
write.
No,
You
I know.
can't write it. You literally can't write this.
This is Tottenham, isn't it? This is Tottenham in a nutshell. I mean, it just happens time and time again with us, this kind of stuff. We're plagued, I swear, every single year.
Oh, there's one thing I did want to say as well, guys, because I didn't want to say anything until I heard what other people had to say. And it's this discussion about the Y word.
Yeah.
I think people need to just take a step back, stop getting carried away with trying to change everything in society and trying to change the way people live without just apply a bit of common sense. Okay, the Y word, it's all about context. Everything in life is context. Okay, I'm a Greek man, and if I go and meet up with my Greek mates that I've known all my life, and I go up to them and I greet them by saying, "Hey, what's up, my bubbles?" And they're like, "Hey, still you bubble." There's nothing racist about that at all. We're allowed to say that to one another, right? If a black man wants to use the N word to greet another black man, there's nothing wrong with that if they both accept it. Now, if someone walks past me and says, "Oh, you said the word bubble, that's racist, I'm offended." Well, that's for you to deal with, because the people that are using it, we're saying it in a banterish, laughing off the fact that it's a racist word. It's almost we're countering it. And it's the same for black people. It's the same of people of brown skin and the P word. Yeah. It's all about context. Now, if I went up to a black man and I said, "Oh, you N word," yeah, I'm a cold stone racist. If someone came up to me and said, "Oi, you stupid little bubble," that is racism, right? If I don't know them and they're not Greek. So in terms of the Y word, we don't say it in a racist context. We say it as a chant that started many, many years ago for very good reasons. And I've got to say, I'm not Jewish, guys, but if Jewish people are offended by us saying it, well, it was us that was saying it to defend Jewish people. Whether you're a Spurs fan or not, it was said to stand up against racism to Jewish people. So for Jewish people to be offended by it, I don't get it. I think there's too many people in high positions in politics and corporations that just need to take a step down and go and actually walk around the real world and see what the real world's like, and just understand it's all about context. If we were chanting to other fans, "You effing Y words, you effing Y words," that's racism. It's absolutely racism. But for us to chant the Y word in a song that stems back from the 70s and 80s because we were racially abused, then I disagree with it. And the funny thing is, guys, only 5% of our fan base is actually Jewish. The Jewish fan base is a minority section of the fan base. So when I hear people say, "Oh, if one person is offended, then everyone should stop it." So you want us to stop it because the minority, a minority of people are being offended, yet when the minority of people, the 5%, are being abused, should we not stand up to it then? It works both ways, guys. So that's my take on it. Each to their own. But I just think it's all silly what's going on, and it's just people that need to find something to do that's more constructive than this.
Yeah, I agree with that. And obviously, we made our feelings clear yesterday, what our thoughts on the statement were and everything. I just think it's Tottenham probably trying to get the word away from the club because of sponsors and all that kind of stuff. They're trying to get into different markets, and maybe it's something they can't be dealing with when or maybe it's, with stadium sponsors and all these kind of things. Maybe these sponsors get scared when they hear Tottenham fans using the word and stuff like that. So that's probably a lot to do with it. But you can't take away from our heritage and our identity, and that's reality.
Yeah, and stop pissing around and pussyfooting around the truth, and just come out and say, we can't get sponsorship unless we sort this issue out. And
I would respect that a bit more, to be honest.
Well, this is it. If they said to us, we're going to get £200 million naming rights, but we've got to stop using the Y word, then we could say, okay, then maybe that's something we could entertain. But we want to see that £200 million put into the team, not into your pockets. So then we counter that, and then, but none of that has happened. None of that has happened. It's just pure. We've done this bit of research, and it's time to put it to bed. Well, let me tell you something. You've put winning trophies to bed. You've put red on our kit. You don't want statues of Ledley King, Jimmy Greaves, Bill Nick around the ground. You've put to bed the name White Hart Lane. It's now Tottenham Stadium. It's like, how much more do you want to chip away at before the Spurs fan base, as we know it, doesn't exist anymore, and we're something completely different? I'm totally against this changing the Y word, guys. And
the statement is devoid of context. That statement as well. That's the whole thing. They say the research in from the Spurs says 94% of fans have found that the Y word can be used in an anti-Semitic way. So, well, yeah, it can. But that just devoid of context. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything to how we use it. So I don't understand why that question's relevant.
Sim, I'm going to keep calling my Greek mates Bubbles. They're going to call me Bubble. I'm going to keep calling Tottenham the Yad Army. And if anyone doesn't like it, you can report me. Feel free.
Tried to stop us, so look what it did. The thing I love most is being a yid. And that's what it's Stel, big up, mate. We'll see you very soon. I'm sure I'll see you on Sunday. But yeah, have a good weekend, mate.
Up the Spurs.
Up the Spurs, come on. Anyone else, Vid? All right, so that is it. That is it for Good Morning Tottenham today. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll see you very soon for predicted lineup, for press conference. We'll be with you very soon, and also we've got a double Premier League perspective and predict the Prem as well. So action-packed day at We Are Tottenham TV. See you all very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.